They're recording.
Pam, what is going on? Pam,
Cheers.
cheers.
Now, many of you, as we pointed out in last week's episode, have noticed a number of odd things, a number of things that are not normal
Indeed.
with the show.
We do our best.
We do. We like to keep
to
you on
go
your
ahead
toes.
and make sure that the people at the Black Tower never get comfortable
Oh yeah,
to the point where
that's good.
they get complacent. We don't like complacency.
Oh no, complacency at the Black Tower that's a no-no. Keep your head on a swivel. You will maintain alert awareness at all times because you never know. You never know.
Training schedules will be modified on a whenever basis.
Whenever the hell
not on a
feel like
basis. It's not like, oh, this week you're gonna have this schedule and then next week you're gonna have that schedule. It's like this week you're gonna have this schedule and next week you're gonna have this schedule.
It's
and
true.
that third week, halfway through, we're gonna change
it. And you know what? You might have rock breaking class twice in a row. That might happen.
No,
you never know. We're getting crazy. We're getting crazy. Okay. Look, it's an extra strength dose of taint coming to you direct from an Airbnb in LA. Why? Well, a number of reasons, really. The biggest one is, we're just crazy.
We are
we
crazy.
Just do that.
We are two wild and crazy guys.
The other one is that
we're looking for some American foxes.
As is so often, my family vacations take me through LA. And you know what? When we have the opportunity to record in person, it's always better in person. It's always better in person.
As someone who is currently long distance can confirm. But it's okay, because fun fact, you will all be seeing some changes after the month of December, because we got approved for an apartment in Capitol Hill in Seattle. And
will be happy.
I know, right? That'll be great. He'll be able to
come
over and guest on my screen. What the hell?
This is gonna be awesome. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah. But yeah, so we got approved for the 29th.
Okay.
And we're moving over Christmas. So yeah.
Merry Christmas. Hell yeah.
So I will no longer be doing long.
So there will no longer be events in LA. Sorry, guys.
I mean,
There
might
be.
We could plan them in LA, especially because
everybody just drive.
Basically.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that it would be a good idea, but like we could. There's no good reason that we can't do an event in Vegas, even though there's no one there. Like, there's no good reason that we can't do an event in Orlando because nobody's there. It just makes less sense.
It's true.
We got the last event in LA out of the way this past October. And we very well may come back, but the likelihood is we will probably now be doing the one not next year, not the year after that, maybe not even the year after that, because we've always wanted to do an international one, so we might get one of those in there. But at least 4 years, maybe 3 years from now, it'll be in Seattle.
Maybe it's a long way out there.
It is. It's a way.
The point is, don't worry about the point. The point is, we're not here to talk about where we live. We're here to talk about the wheel of time.
We are here to talk about where fictional characters that are real in here live, because all of them live in here.
That's like they say, where's California? Here. Where's Florida? Here. Where's Malkir? Here. That's
such a good movie.
It is. It's a great one. Okay, so welcome to another exciting, enthralling, riveting, amazing episode of the Black Tower podcast.
In fact,
you all are here because you're awesome. We are here because we're nerds. And you know me by now. My name is Josh. I am your Sorovan Mahale. I will be calling the lightnings for you this evening.
I am Daniel, your Amin Khan Mahale. I will be singing the songs this evening. And we are joined.
The whole world sing.
Indeed. And we are joined in spirit, obviously, by all of our other wonderful Mahales here, there, everywhere, whether they are abroad, whether they are also in here. All of
here a hail, there a hail, everywhere in my hail. There it is. That's how it goes. I mean, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. We got Mahales watching every one of you.
Indeed.
Degenerates. So thank you for behaving yourselves accordingly.
That's why we don't talk about that guard.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Sorry. I'll fix that in post.
It's the CIA guard. What?
CIA is actually just a division of the Black Tower. We call it the scary guard, the spooky guard,
the spy guard, the spygers.
Spiger. I love it. But I don't have any spoiler warnings on my computer.
Yeah, I don't have any spoiler warnings on my computer either, so we're gonna need to get those.
So let's improvise one. Okay, we're gonna do this right now. We're gonna do like one word. Okay, we got it. Okay.
I like this. Yeah.
Okay, this
episode
is
going
to
spoil
all
of
the
canonical
works
of
fiction
that
Robert
Jordan
created
for
our
reading
pleasure. Why do I feel like we're like continued
into
the
new
era?
Yeah.
Why do
I was going with New Spring, but
that's
no.
New Spring too. Yeah, that's
I know. It's also technically canonical.
It's a full spoiler. It's that.
But seeing as how one of our members thinks it's a conspiracy, I thought I'd throw it in anyway.
I like it.
I
know where I was gonna go. I was gonna say, what does it feel like? It feels like we're a couple in the 90s. Thank you for calling us. Like for all of you old enough to have a
voicemail.
No, but it's an answering machine. That's what it was. An answering
machine with
that was before voicemail.
Yeah,
you used to have little cassette tapes,
and
you'd have to.
I will admit, I was not. I know that my family had an answering machine with a cassette tape. I do not remember it because I think by the time I was able to like commit things to memory,
yes,
there was now the digital answering machine, so you no longer needed the cassette. I mean, it still worked exactly the same way effectively, but again, it was digital rather than cassette.
I had my first apartment, I had an answering machine. I had to upgrade it though. I had the digital playback.
Nice. Yep.
All the peasants had the tape.
The tape, yeah.
Okay.
We're back.
And we're back. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another star-studded episode of the Black Tower Podcast.
Okay, where were we? So yeah, we were talking about voicemail, and now I think it's time to move into the
subject
Wheel of Time voicemail, which is Tel'aran'rhiod.
That's right. That is exactly it.
And one of the most impressive ladies in the Wheel of Time who teaches one of the other most amazing ladies in the Wheel of Time all about how to be a better person and a better channeler and a better dreamer.
A better dreamer. So we're gonna do another background breakdown tonight. It's another background breakdown. You're gonna love it. We're gonna love it. We're gonna have fun with it, and it's all about the wise one, Amis.
Indeed.
So it's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be amazing. You're gonna love it. We're gonna love it. We're just gonna have some fun with it. We're gonna real quick before we dive into it, though, I do feel like they should go to blacktowerpod.com.
Oh, definitely. They should definitely.
They should absolutely do that. Also, one other thing that I've found is really, really helpful is if they look right here and they follow the advice right there to go to YouTube and subscribe. See, the bell should be ringing right about now. See, that was nice, right? And then if you guys want to come over here, right there, and you'll have a little notification to check out Twitter. It's totally optional, but you might want to follow us on both.
That is the places where the most things happen.
And blacktowerpod.com, you can join our Discord. You can join our Patreon if you'd like. You can tune into these episodes live. It's a lot of fun.
It is.
So
you even get to see all the times that we have to go and do things for Chinese food and
all the goodness. All the goodness.
Yeah, all the things.
Okay, so fun story with Amis. Let's just dive right into it.
Let's do it.
We don't have a last name for Amis.
I don't think. Well, they don't have last names.
Amis. No, they do, but you don't use them like it's all like very, very intimate. You don't get to know them.
Well, okay, yes.
Which is why when Rand goes, "I'm Rand al'Thor," they go, "Oh, hello, Rand al'Thor."
Yes,
and he's like,
"No, you can just call me Rand," and they
but
go,
you said
Rand
al'Thor. You are Rand al'Thor. I feel like the wise ones are like or the Aiel are like a combination of like Batman and Sheldon.
I hate that you just did that, but you're not incorrect.
Like they're so amazing and they can fight and kick the shit out of you, but they'll be like, "Hello, Rand al'Thor," and you're like, "Oh no, it's cool, Batman. I'm just Rand.
Swear to me."
But you said Rand al'Thor. So
see, okay, so yeah. So it's a combination of Batman and the dad Batman. Yeah. Not Sheldon. Let's not bring him in this, because even though the actor is wonderful,
but all I can see though is, but you said Rand al'Thor. Okay, but Amis, what we do have is her sept, and her clan.
Indeed. As we do, I mean, we don't necessarily. I feel like all of the named Aiel, we always get their second clan, which is great.
Yeah,
because it's such a part of their identity,
especially the part
almost in some ways like their last name.
In some
ways.
It's
not, because again,
that would be like me saying, "Hello, I am Josh of Ogden from the land of the United States of America." That's like
basically,
yeah. So it's like, hello, Josh from Ogden.
Actually, I don't know if that's true.
Leave a comment below. Is that correct or is that incorrect?
Like it's more something that you've chosen for the sept, because definitely the Aiel that you were born into is the Aiel that is your
that's your
or that is your sept,
or is that your sept? I thought clan was the one you were born into.
Yeah,
sept is the one that
is the one you choose. Yeah,
it's almost like your vocation.
Yes. And I mean, there are only a certain number of choices. It's not like, you can just make one up or anything. But at the same time, it's also like you get to.
And if you become a stone dog, it's not like, well, all you can do now are stone dog things. It's just like you're just saying these are the folks that.
Exactly.
It's confusing.
So she
Aiel are confusing.
Always.
I know we have some wise ones that watch the show that are going to be like, excuse you, Mahale, just because you're too dumb to know.
Well, we also have a few Aviendas who are going to be like, this is easy stuff.
So easy. How can you? Fucking wetland, man. And it's true. They're not wrong.
They're not wrong. It's just that it's not what we're used to. Threefold Talk is going to have a field day.
We're going to do a Black Tower breakdown. Like, okay, it's time for us to check a Black Tower podcast. Oh, they did an Amis breakdown. Oh.
So yes, Amis is of the Nine Valleys sept.
Right.
Of the Tardad Aiel.
Correct. She is one of the wise ones who used to be Fardaris Mai. She was Fardaris Mai.
See, so this is actually
into wise ones.
Sorry, I
Wise one
apologize.
age.
I got confused. I confused myself and also you.
Is it like when
I
we
think
were
it's
talking
actually Tardat Aiel would be United States.
Okay.
Nine Valleys Sept would be Ogden. Fardaris Mai is the one that you can choose. That's really what I meant. The group that you are a part of, that's the Stone Dogs or the Fardaris Mai or whatever. Because of course, as a wise one, she's no longer actually part of any of the
it's
the delineations of the Maidens of the Spirit.
It's almost like
dogs or the red shields or whatever.
Right. It's almost like when we had because we did have Leia, Roof Mistress, and Ebony, and she lived forever.
Yep.
Discuss specifically wise ones at the Gathering Madness this year. And one of the conclusions that they came to, which I actually really loved, was how the wise ones are sort of an echo of the Gen Aiel in the Third Age.
Absolutely. And
I really, really love it because they're not supposed to fight. They're not supposed to take up arms. And they can walk through a battlefield. And there's so much respect for them. But people do not touch the wise ones.
Yeah.
Period. End of story. It has nothing to do with whether or not they can channel, because as we know, wise ones can channel.
Yeah.
Some wise ones can, some can't.
Yes, it is not a requirement, though most of them seem to be able to.
Yes.
Because I think it is definitely a situation where the Aiel view channeling in a way that
it's not anything that is it's like saying, because when you say you're born with it, right?
Maybe it's
we have a lot of conversations in modern days about whether or not you're born with something you can't change, something is just a part of you.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's who you are. That's a part of a chemical makeup, of a biological makeup, of a personality makeup that is you.
Yes.
And so to say that, you are so special because of your ability to grow your fingernails, that is amazing. Like, that's not something for the Aiel, because they're like, well, that's just who you are. You're not special because you have green eyes instead of blue eyes. You're not special because you can channel or you can't. With probably the one exception being men who can channel, but there's a different reason for that, right?
And only because it has to be. Yeah. It's a forced
issue. That's not a thing that anybody really wants. It's just it is a necessity.
Yep.
In that case.
So anyway, yes, she is one of the wise ones who can channel. She is also a dream walker, which is also fairly common amongst the wise ones, but also not a requirement.
Not
a requirement at all.
Not a requirement. I almost wonder if there's like not necessarily a checkbox, and I would never suggest to an Aiel that there was checklist, never. But I almost wonder if there's almost like a soft checklist, and if you meet a woman who can channel, she's automatically a stronger candidate for a wise one. Because I don't know that we get any wise ones. I don't know if we get any female Aiel who can channel who are not wise ones.
That's true,
but
we do actually get wise ones who can't channel.
Well, we do have wise
but
ones
we
that
don't
cannot
have
channel.
Though it is also a question of there are the two types of women who can channel. Well, there are two types of channelers.
Two types of channel. Yes, those
are those who are born with it and will touch Sidar or Sidene through no choice of their own, even.
It will happen. Period. End of story.
Those who can be taught but can live their entire life without ever actually touching it. Right. So I imagine that means that all of the ones who will channel become wise ones, or
I
burn themselves out, or whatever happens during the first touching.
I think that's valid. I think that's valid.
But not every person who can be taught becomes a wise one.
That's a good point. There might be lots of like Fardar Ismai that can learn to channel, that just don't. That makes was
that choose
Avienda.
not.
Avienda was born with it, right?
She was. Yeah.
Okay. So in this particular case, you've got Anise, who is a channeler. She is a dreamwalker, which are both very, very, very awesome skills.
Jeez.
And I feel like dreamwalking especially is an important skill for a wise one, because they use that to find water in the waste. They use it for
communication between sets and clans. They use it to basically the dreamwalkers and the dreamers are very, very interlinked. And so dreamers communicate with dreamwalkers to give information about impending,
I think,
worries and things like that in the waste.
And those are two separate skills.
Mm-hmm.
They overlap a lot, but I feel like if it were a Venn diagram, you'd have dreamers who are a small circle, and then you'd have dreamwalkers who are a larger circle. They encompass all of what dreamers can do, but they can actually go plus ultra with what they can do.
Well, it's also interesting because, of course, I feel like every dreamer in the waste would also be a dreamwalker. So I feel like that would actually just be a circle within the larger circle. However, I think that given that the Aes Sedai don't actually know as much about dreamwalking, and the Sea Folk presumably also don't know as much about dreamwalking, and the Shan don't actually know as much about dreamwalking, that's what would sort of push that circle outside of that larger circle of dreamwalkers. Because I feel like those, all of those other nations of channelers, or whatever you want to call them in some ways, don't have nearly as much understanding of what's going on with dreamwalking as the wise ones. The wise ones are basically like dreamwalk masters who also have some dreamers. Everybody else is like, dreamers pop out of nowhere, and maybe we find a dreamwalker every once in a while, but like, we don't fucking know anything about it.
Well, and as specific to dreamers, Egwene was identified as maybe a dreamer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even the White Tower had absolutely no idea that there was a distinction between the two.
Oh, absolutely.
And so when Egwene was talking about dreams that she was having, they were like, you might be a dreamer. And of course, that's how she gets her introduction into Tel'aran'rhiod. And she's doing all kind of crazy things. And then the wise ones, she catches up with the wise ones, and they're all like, whoa.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there is the aspects of Tel'aran'rhiod because as we know, dreamwalkers are not exclusive to women who can channel, not even exclusive to women who cannot channel. There are other people with other abilities who are also able to enter the world of dreams.
Yes, indeed. And they don't even have to be men that can channel, or
channeling is not a prerequisite of being able to enter the world of dreams.
Now, most people do actually need a crutch to get in and out. But there are definitely, Wolf Brothers, for example, and Wolf Sisters. The world of dreams is the world of wolves in a lot of ways. But anyone, even without any channeling ability, as long as they are touching the ter'angreal that let you in, can
jump in. But then you have to have, of course, the mental focus and fortitude and constitution to not imagine yourself into a nightmare.
That would be nice. Necessary? No. You probably only ever do it once, but
learn that lesson.
Yeah.
Amis is one of our poly triads.
Yes, that is true.
She is married to Ruark, and everyone loves Ruark.
The best.
Ruark is the GOAT. He's amazing, and I love him. But he's married to Amis, who is sister wife to Lian. Lian.
Lian. Lian. It's like Liam Neeson, but with an N.
Right.
Lian. Oh, is that her last name? Did I just out her? Fuck.
You're gonna get a knife in the
I know, I didn't mean to. I
Or
really didn't mean
something.
to. A
I
spear.
don't know. Spear,
Probably.
not a wise
No,
one.
large
A wise
knives.
one.
Yeah, large knives. Yeah,
Utility knives. They are utility knives.
they are not swords. They are not large enough to be swords.
And not only, and they don't use them for combat.
Well,
They use
yeah,
them to peel potatoes, maybe cut some carrots up.
Well, and I imagine that a number of Aiel have actually used their smaller blades for combat as well, not intentionally. I mean, it's like I've lost all of the rest of my weapons and need this to go ahead and survive, or I was attacked by an animal and I need to use it because I didn't bring my spears or whatever. And I think that's acceptable. But yes, the wise ones are never supposed to use them for combat, period.
Okay, 1 second. I'm gonna pause right here. He who comes with wine and Morshadi, welcome, welcome, welcome. You are not hearing 3 voices, you are hearing 2 voices. I tried to put it on the camera earlier and I couldn't. But Daniel and I are in the same room together.
Correct.
Because I'm in LA getting ready to head out to my vacation.
Where are you going, by the way?
Egypt.
That's right. That's right.
So I'm gonna, yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be awesome. Okay, so back in. Let's see. Amis is one of the dreamers who recognized the signs and or times that the Karakarn had been reborn.
Correct.
And that it needs now the Aiel need to start looking to the wetlands, as it were, to go look for the Karakarn.
Yes.
So she's pretty high up on the wise one hierarchy.
She is. She's actually like second or third as far as like respected wise ones, and she's one of the ones who can actually channel a good deal.
Yes.
But she can't even channel like nearly as much as like Egwene.
Right.
And the person who is higher than her can't channel for shit.
Like can channel up like so it's Sorelia.
Yeah.
Sorelia.
I think it's Sorelia. If I remember my glossary pronunciations correctly, it's Sorelia.
And if I'm also not mistaken, Amis is the one who's dreaming of being a Fardar Asmai on the hunt when Egwene stumbles upon her.
Yes.
I love Egwene too. She's like, I'm a dreamer. I'm walking around in the world of dreams. Hey, look, there's a lady crouched behind a rock. And Amis is like, what the fuck are you doing here? Egwene is like, shit. Like she runs. And then Amis is like, oh, hell no. And like runs after her and like grabs her and is like, who the hell are you? And Egwene's like, my name is Egwene, and I just came in here. And then Amis is like,
she starts saying her name and her soldier ID and her
name, range, and serial number.
My name is Egwene. I am a novice.
No. My name is Egwene. I'm a nice guy.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And Amis is like,
you're a nice guy.
You're a dreamer, and you need to come to the waist.
Yeah.
Now. Yep. Like get your arse to the waist. Because
young lady, take your turkey over here to do it.
You may be an Aes Sedai, but you will kill yourself running around Tel'aran Riyadh. And now that you know how to get into, we know you Aes Sedai. We know that you're not gonna just stop, so we're gonna train you so you don't kill yourself.
Well, and of course, I think she's also like super fascinated with Egwene in general. Because like I feel like there are other Aes Sedai that they're like, yeah, fucking let him kill himself.
Yeah,
but, like, she's like,
Egwene,
though. She's like, get over here.
Get over here. I definitely think so we've already Amis is someone who is first off very well respected.
Yes.
And in Aiel culture, you do not become well respected without earning it.
Oh, 100%.
Period. End of story. So Amis is well respected for a vast number of reasons.
Yep.
And so when Amis says she recognizes a spark in Egwene, as we said, she can channel.
Yep.
Which again, Aes Sedai or Aiel aren't going to be like, oh, she can channel a lot.
Yeah.
But
it is
when
a thing.
It's like seeing a fire.
Yeah.
You know, someone goes, oh, look, there's a fire. You see an 8-foot bonfire on the beach and you go, ooh, I wonder what's going on there.
Yeah, if you go over there and the people around the 8-foot bonfire are shitty, you're not staying, but you're still fascinated a little bit by the bonfire.
And so she finds a dreamer who can channel a significantly larger amount than anyone she's ever heard of.
Heard of is a strong word, I think, but like, yeah, then the vast majority of the wise ones. Yeah, 100%.
And so she goes, there's something here. This didn't, you know, the wheel weaves is the wheel wills.
Well,
or whatever the Aiel version of that is.
Wise ones are just like, Tel'aran'rhiod, need. She either needs me or I need her, because she just showed up in my dream.
Yeah, in my dream.
In my dream.
That was the other thing. That was Amisa's. But was she in Tel'aran'rhiod? Like, I feel like this is almost like a Minecraft server.
No, she was definitely
welcome to the open world Tel'aran'rhiod.
Yeah, she was definitely in Tel'aran'rhiod, because I feel like, so it's not explicitly said, but
it definitely around.
Well, so it definitely feels like when you are a normal human being without any dreaming capabilities or dream walking capabilities.
Yes, I am a normal human being who's into human things like beer. And did you see that terrible game this weekend?
The one with one in the country with all the human rights violations?
No, not that one. I was talking, actually, what I was talking about was my fantasy football. I lost big. I got my ass waxed this weekend, dude.
Sorry.
That was like a 40-point spread.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
It was bad. It was not a good time.
Real quick, it was funny because I had 2 coworkers yesterday who were in the same league, and they had all that was left was the Niners Cardinals game, and one of them had Arizona's, or no. One of them had San Francisco's defense, and the other person had nothing, but the person they were going up against had Arizona's defense, and so they totally won. Because Arizona's defense got trounced yesterday. Anyway, if you are a normal human being who has no capabilities of dream walking, you basically have your little bubble of dream.
Yes.
And it is floating around Tel'aran'rhiod in some ways, because Tel'aran'rhiod is the world of dreams, but it's sort of insulated. It's definitely a thing where you have a little bubble and your dream is taking place in the vastness of Tel'aran'rhiod, not really being affected by it.
And it's your personal dream as being, as you said, is almost. I like your bubble analogy because
and she even talks about it, like the little flecks of light.
Imagine
and like
taking a bath,
separate,
a bubble bath,
blah blah blah,
and you got bubbles floating around. Those are regular dreams.
Yeah. Bless you.
Woo! But when you get into the soapy water.
That's Tel'aran'rhiod.
That's Tel'aran'rhiod.
Great. Well, and of course, again, it's a situation where
metaphors
walkers seem to, they can access those things. They can access those bubbles themselves. And I'm not talking about like other people's bubbles and getting into them. I mean, like they can have a regular dream that is their own bubble. It's possible, but almost none of them do. Like we see so often that they're just like out and about, just dream walking.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they sort of talk about going ahead and like stopping the dream walking so that they can get a better night of sleep, and they just don't really dream.
Well, I almost view
and it's an interesting thing that I've always thought about dream walking.
If I'm a dream walker, if I'm Amis of the Tardad Aiel, and I had a stressful day, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna sit down and play some video games.
Sure.
But my video games are the best kind of video games because I'm not just gonna play video games, I'm gonna play Sword Art Online, motherfucker. And I'm gonna go in.
Great analogy, because you can die in Sword Art.
Exactly. See, I'm connecting dots.
No, it's great.
But I almost feel like that's a you know the dangers of an area, so you don't go there because you don't. I'm going to go Princess Bride on you right now.
You know
the fire swamp. Nobody's ever survived the fire swamp. You're only saying that because no one ever has. And then as she's there in the fire swamp, they're like, oh, and she goes, "We're gonna die here." And he goes, "Nonsense. We know the secrets of the fire swamp now. We understand the dangers, and so now we may avoid them. We're good." And I feel like this is sort of a lead into Teleranria, because the wise ones are like, we know the dangers. We know how bad this can get.
Yes.
So, and we've taken measures and we've trained and we understand what's going on. So we know we're good. But anybody else, this is kind of our domain. And we won't allow the uninitiated to come in here, because not only is it going to be dangerous to them, but it can actually be dangerous for us as well.
Well, especially because, again, as you said, I love that talk is, if you know the dangers of the fire swamp, then you can survive in the fire swamp. If you throw a new danger into the fire swamp, we no longer feel safe in the fire swamp. So
if someone else comes along and pops off some fire and lights you on fire, I can avoid the fire.
Yes.
But someone else set off the damn fire in front of me, and now I'm caught. So they're very protective of Teleranria.
Rodents of unusual size? I don't think they exist.
I love it so much.
By the way, I'm going to take just a second here and say, I think we should actually do this as a larger episode, and we should just put this out as 2 episodes.
Okay.
On Amis, where we delve into some of the inter things of Teleranria, like we are. So we'll just do a 2-hour episode, and then we'll just put it out as 2 different episodes. I like that. You heard it here first, people.
You heard it here first. And back in.
Indeed. But yeah, so it's always been very, very interesting to me that I imagine a lot of Dreamwalkers when they're like, I've had a very stressful day. I just want to go and I just want to chill. And
Link on.
Amis actually probably just goes over and just hops into Ruark streams pretty regularly.
Well, because they've got a long distance relationship.
Yeah, just for starters. And I mean, you've got Gawain and Egwene. Egwene's jumping into Gawain's dreams pretty regularly because they're
Teleranria sweat tents.
Oh yeah. And I mean, again, it's just a nice way of seeing somebody who's not a dream walker.
Which
you
is
can see
true
them when
well.
they're asleep, and so you can have this moment. And especially the other nice thing is, we've all had regular dreams. This is a real thing in real life. This isn't a fictional thing. Dream walking is probably, but just having dreams, that's an extremely human thing to do.
Maybe with a little bit of LSD.
And so again, it's also one of those situations where if Ruark knows what's happening and Leon knows what's happening and they have a really good dream about Amis,
they wake up and they go, "Oh,
they're like,
Amis, you devil."
Yeah, no, exactly. But because she has very little control in their dreams, but she can be there with them. She can say things. She can enjoy their company. She can communicate things and be with them and be intimate and things like that. And again, if you know that that's what's happening, you can wake up knowing that happened. Well, Gawain doesn't, because Egwene never tells him, and so he doesn't know that she's there. But again, if you get that information, it can now be this wonderful experience for everybody involved, because you've been told, and you've been told that Amis can do this, and you can have those moments in your dreams where she can be there.
And do you know what's interesting about that as well is two things with that. One, we know that, well, one, I'll start with the point of Amis visiting specifically Leanne and Ruark.
Yep.
That is something that the wise ones protect very, very carefully, because forcing yourself into someone else's dream
correct
is akin to forcing yourself onto someone.
Yes.
And that is viewed as a form of assault.
Yes.
And
so, trying to do anything in their dream is that much worse.
It's horrible. Yeah. And as we know this is possible, we see this with Grendel is one of these who influences people's dreams.
Yep. Mogedion as well.
Mogedion does it. Balsamon is doing it to the boys in the first couple of books.
Lanfear does it at least a couple of times. Yeah. She seems to be very specified in who she affects, but she does affect, yes.
No, it's an interesting I love how protective the wise ones are of people's dream autonomy.
Yeah.
They're real good about that. And even when you have to pass notes, it's almost to someone and well. You're not just going to go up to a perfect stranger and be like, "Hey, wake up, motherfucker, and go do this." Because once again, you're inserting yourself into their psyche in a way that they don't know you, they don't trust you, they have no idea. But when you have that kind of a power, you're bringing on a level of implied trust, I would say. And so, and we see Egwene giving messages to Nynaeve and Elaine,
and to be fair, most of the messages that are actually sent are actually done in Tel'aran'rhiod, in the open source space.
Right.
But yes, I mean, when they do actually need to get an urgent message to someone, they can enter their own personal dream and say, "Hey, one of two things. Either can you meet me in the world of dreams?
Right.
Or I just need to tell it to you now, and I hope that you remember it when you wake up," kind of thing. Because that's also one of the other things that's interesting, is that almost everybody seems to actually remember everything that happens in Tel'aran'rhiod.
Right.
I feel like dreams are still treated the same way as far as those, dream bubbles, each individual's personal bubbles. As far as like, you got some people who remember everything about their dreams, and some people it starts to fade away immediately when they wake up, and some people who don't even really remember that they dreamed last night. Like, so there's,
Does that mean that's muted?
Yeah, we're good. No, I mean, they've been hearing it.
Okay, no. Well, they have, yes, but I was afraid about the recording. But it's the same audio.
Yeah, it is.
I'm just gonna
anyway.
Sorry. Hi.
But it's interesting because we don't get as much about the Sea Folk and the Shan-Chan. But I do appreciate. I totally different point.
Right.
It is interesting, but I was gonna say, I wish we got a thing for the Sea Folk and the Shan-Chan that was along this. Oh, well, we kind of do for the Shan-Chan. It's about Damane, and I hate that, but like, it is. But it's the things that are lines that they won't cross, of the Warder Bond with the Aes Sedai,
right?
The going into other people's dreams for the wise ones,
right?
Using someone else's Damane, and again, horrible, but it's also, again, it's along the same lines of like,
right.
You actually have assaulted someone if you take and use their Damane without.
You didn't assault. It's
you didn't assault the Damane.
You didn't assault the Damane. It's like coming into my garage and using my tools. The affront is to me, not to my tools.
Yeah. Which is, again, horrible, but again, it is interesting as far as the sort of view. And I wish I'm sure there is one. So if you can think of one, go ahead and throw it into the chat, either live or on this video somewhere. I feel like there's something along the lines of like using someone else's ship, or going ahead and like doing something with cargo. I feel like there's something along those lines, but I really appreciate how each group of channelers, and again, not all Sea Folk are channelers, and so that's an outside one. And with the Shan-Chan, it gets a little fuzzy, but it is an interesting thing where like each group of people mostly centered around channelers, has their own thing that is a no-go.
Right.
And I always appreciate finding out what those are, because that really shows you what people think is important.
Right.
That really shows you where their power is and where they feel like it could be abused, and therefore where it needs to be safeguarded.
Right.
And I always appreciate finding out what that is for people.
And it was just popped into the live chat about the sea folk when you have like trading that needs to be done. It's done by a specific person. They are in charge of all the trading and all the deals.
The cargo master.
Yeah. Then you have the captain who's in charge of the ship and says, this is where we're going. And it's like very rare that they will purposely override each other.
Oh, sure.
It can happen.
Yeah.
But it's one of those, and as a matter of fact, it does happen when
does.
Nynaeve and Elaine and Egwene jump
Say
on
we're
a
going
ship
to
and
Abudar.
we have to go to Abudar. And the captain's like, no, the cargo master has a shipment of blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah, but we really need to go. And they were able to
that's actually the situation. I love that one, because the captain says, okay, we're going to do this. We have to do this. And the cargo master actually says, I can't sell what we bought in Abudar. You're going to screw us. And she goes, I know that. And I'm very sorry. And we work in tandem as much as possible.
However,
but in this situation, I am
the
captain.
Good.
Yeah, I am the captain. And this needs to happen. And so, and in fact, that particular group was, I love you. Figure it out.
Well, and I just I even love how, like, before she tells the cargo master, she's like, yeah, I'm gonna be in trouble for this one. So yeah,
that's another one of the things that I love about the relationship between the sea folk, which is, we don't see it very often, but we get to see it like twice. One heavily implied and the other even more heavily implied, because he never actually goes into it, because that's just who Robert Jordan is. But but with them, she's like, I'm in charge out here. Guys, yeah, exactly. I am in charge out here, but I'm gonna be in trouble in the I'm gonna be in a lot.
I'm gonna be paying for that one later, guys.
And again, I know that it's the right thing to do, and I will take the punishment. And depending on who I am, I might even like it. But
on your knees.
But at the same time, I'm definitely like, he is in charge when we are alone.
Right.
And then of course when Lan and Nynaeve get Seanchan or Seafolk married.
Yeah.
I also love that, where like a few times Lan looks at Nynaeve and he goes, "You're gonna pay for that one." She's like, shit.
Yeah, I know. One real quick, I think it's a fun story point to point out here, because, and it does actually tie back to Amis, is we talk about how they're sort of imposing that intention on other people.
Yes.
But one of the things is, and as we've differentiated between dreamers and dreamwalkers.
Yes.
And Amis is a dreamer and a dreamwalker. Are all dreamwalkers dreamers?
No. Because almost all dreamwalkers are not dreamers. Dreamers is a very small subset, because dreamers are the ones who can actually predict the future.
Right. You have
via their dreams. And so it's not the foretelling, but it's along those lines. Whereas most dreamwalkers have Tel'aran'rhiod maybe abilities, but they can't really use that to predict the future. It's more about like,
it's a VIP pass. Essentially.
Yeah. And in fact, I mean, like, you can even make it look like that sometimes, because of course they do things like go to the tower and find out information they're not supposed to have.
Right.
Which could be, viewed as predicting the future. But again, it's not predicting the future. It's getting more information about the present.
And this is the interesting thing, is because you've got Amis who sends a letter to Moraine. Moraine at the Stone of Tyr.
Yes.
Sends it to her like a month, it arrives at the Stone of Tyr like a month before Moraine does.
And somebody in the mail room's like, "Who the fuck is this?" And
oh shit, we got us a Aes Sedai by the name of what now? Oh, hey, I have a letter for her.
Yeah.
and then someone comes up and is like, mail, Lady Aes Sedai, and Moraine's like, nobody knows I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's kind of got like a moment. Oh,
I got here yesterday. How the fuck?
And they were like, yeah, that was sent a month ago. And she opens it up. And not only is it like, hello, Moraine Sedai. This is Amis of the Tardad Aiel. I'd like to invite you over for tea. Oh, by the way, there's a spear maiden by the name of Avienda. Tell her to get her ass back to Ruidian now.
Oh, and also, if you could just make 100% sure, we've had a conversation. But if you could just make 100% sure that Egwene comes too,
right?
That would be really.
I've already talked to Egwene. She said she's on her way. But if you could just,
we've also been getting that response from Avienda every time as well. So, like, if you could just,
I'm on my way.
Yeah, just 100% make sure that both of those come.
And so Moraine's like intrigued, like, color me intrigued.
Well, and I have to admit, they never really specifically go into whether it was Amis who saw that this needed to happen and then communicated it to Moraine. She absolutely could have been given information by a dreamer. Well, I think she is a dreamer, if I'm remembering correctly.
I believe she is.
But again, most dreamwalkers, I think, are not dreamers.
Put it in the comments.
All dreamers, I think,
are we right about that?
At least capable of being dreamwalkers.
And see, I would think that all dreamers are not dreamwalkers, but all dreamwalkers are dreamers. But I could very well be wrong with that.
That does not seem to be true. Again, earlier we talked about the Venn diagram between dreamers.
But that's what I'm saying. All dreamers fit
it's
inside the dreamwalker. That was what I was trying to say.
I think almost all dreamers fit within the dreamwalker circle.
So you're saying there's a sliver outside of dreamwalking.
That's what I was talking about earlier about the Aes Sedai who are dreamers. Because Egwene sort of is a dreamer, and she sort of stumbles into Teleran Riyadh and stumbles around.
She gets there with the Tiraan Grial.
Correct.
They think she's a dreamer, so they say, here, this Tiraan Grial has something to do with dreams.
And then, of course, they teach her how to do it without.
So all dreamers can be dreamwalkers.
I think that is true, but not all of them
dreamwalkers
do become dreamwalkers.
Can be dreamers.
I think that's true.
Okay.
That is what I believe.
Okay.
Based on those.
So I'm going to say that Amis is a dreamer. I'm going to go out. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that. I think she is, because she's the one that has a lot. First off, again, we talk about there's a myriad of reasons why she's so well respected in the Aiel world. And that's gotta be,
first of all, she's wicked smart.
Yeah, that's gotta be one of them, right? That's gotta
be. Very well. I think it.
She's there. Oh, it's gotta be, because when they finally do arrive to Ruidian, she's there. She's like, right on time.
That's true, yeah.
And they're all
again, like, does not guarantee her dreamerness, because they do have such an incredible way of passing notes. But at the same time, I think you're right. I do think that the Occam's razor of this says that Amis is actually just the dreamer, and so she knows things. I also love that she kind of like out Aes Sedai's the Aes Sedai. Oh,
in that moment, and she's like, Moraine Sedai, you're on time. Hold on just one moment. Avienda, girl, go now. And they're like, and everybody's kind of like, oh, no. She addressed Rand first.
She does, yeah.
She addresses Rand first. And then Matt's like,
Matt's like, because she doesn't know he's the Karn, but she knows.
Yeah. Again. She knows shit. She's just that good. And then Matt's like, well, I guess I better go too. And she's like, excuse you. And he's like, look, lady, I don't want to be here either. I gotta go. I'm sorry. I gotta.
Yep.
And again, her wisdom says, okay. It also could be some Ta'veren pulling. I'm going to say it is Ta'veren as well as wisdom working together in tandem.
I would say that there are actually three things all working. Number one, I feel like it's definitely the Ta'veren pull of both Matt and Rand, because they're both present.
Well, and they both know that Matt knows that he needs to be there in Ruidian for Rand.
Basically.
And he doesn't know why. He knows he needs to go to Ruidian. Has something to do with Rand, and it has something to do with the end of the world. And he's like, fine.
Yep. And then, of course, there's also the fact that, okay, this is going to sound a little cynical, and I don't necessarily mean it. But one of two things is going to happen. Amis knows that Matt is either going to go to Ruidian and behave himself.
Heavy on the.
And by behave himself, I mean not go into the crystal columns that he has been told explicitly to not to.
Because she does. She straight up says.
Yeah. And then he will, and then no harm, no foul. There isn't, like, Ruidian is basically these two things: the Wise One test and the crystal columns.
Right.
That's what's happening. That's what Ruidian is for, effectively.
Right.
And so, again, they know that he's not going to do anything with the fucking, Wise One test. He's not even anywhere near that. And Rand is being sent somewhere different. So they're like, okay, either you're going to go into the crystal columns and you're probably going to see your past, and then most of our clan chiefs don't even actually fucking make it out because they can't deal with their past.
Sorry.
So
R.I.P. Muradin.
I know, right? And so either he's going to go into the crystal columns and not behave himself, and then he'll probably just not make it out.
Right.
In which case, okay, he's some dude I don't really give a shit about. Or he's going to go and he's not going to go through the crystal columns. And is it really that much of a bad thing to have someone there watching the person who we think is the Karakarn's back? No. So might as fucking well. Just go.
Well,
just go. I don't give that.
Do you know, in a real quick tangent too with the crystal columns, what I love,
ironically, of course, it's Rand actually ends up watching Matt's one.
Right. Well, but Matt still gains crucial.
Oh, but it has nothing to do with Rand.
Information.
Is what I'm saying. Yeah. He sort of helps Rand because they get attacked.
Yeah.
But Rand could have handled
it
himself. There's no reason.
It's for later on.
But yeah,
the things he gets is for later on.
Yes,
helping Rand.
Which is, of course, why he knows that he needs to go.
I like
yeah.
I like the crystal columns being this ultimate like crucible of leadership, right? Because in leadership you have to make bad decisions. You have to make rough decisions
all the time.
And someone's not going to be happy with those decisions almost every time. And so what you have is you're literally sending these guys in there and saying, I need to know that you have character fortitude strong enough to lead our people knowing what we know.
Yes.
And then they go in and they go, I'm the strongest and bravest warrior of all the oh my God, what? My whole life is literally a lie. And my bragging about being the best killer in my clan is the opposite of what I should be.
Well, I think it's really the three things. It's again the can you keep a secret?
Right.
Because this would destroy us. It's the are you flexible enough to actually deal with things that change? Because if you can deal with this, you can deal with any flexibility.
Exactly.
You can deal with any information we give you if you can deal with this. And also it's I sort of almost hesitate to say this one because I feel like it's true, but it also seems to be sort of the one that matters the least and blah, blah, blah. But it's also a little bit of like a test of once you get out and the clan chiefs start to talk to you about it, it's also a little bit of a test if you're actually really Aiel. Like if you're a
that's a good
fledged
point.
Aiel in some ways. Because if you go through the crystal columns and you find out information about your past and it's different than everybody else's, and then you talk to some clan chiefs about it and they come out and they go, hey, you saw that, right? That was crazy. And you go, yeah, no, the fact that I used to be a merchant in Kyrian, they're like, I'm sorry,
what did you say?
Yeah, no, exactly.
What did you say?
And again, I actually have a hard time believing that if you made it through the crystal columns, and came out with the fortitude and whatnot of being a clan chief, even if your history was different, I think they wouldn't end you or anything, but it would definitely be a question of like, well, that's very interesting. We need to figure out what happened. Like,
yeah, well, and you've got Amis is so, she's got her fingers on the pulse of all of these goings. She doesn't quite understand. Like, she doesn't understand with perfect clarity what's going on.
Oh, of course.
She's not going to say,
none of them.
Moiraine's going to go in and do this and come back out. Miranda's going to go in and come back. She doesn't really, but she knows, she's got a really great idea about what needs to happen.
Yep.
She doesn't necessarily know why.
Or exactly how it's going to pan out. But yeah.
And I feel like a really good aspect of this, the Mystic trilogy by Jason Denzel.
Yeah.
Which, if you haven't read it, go ahead and check it out. I finished up Mystic Skies today.
Nice.
Super good. There are the Rangers in the Mystic world, and they have a path, the Silver Path they call it, and not all Rangers can see it. It's just the Rangers that.
What's this? A ranger caught off his guard.
Sorry, that's gonna be the thumbnail. That's gonna be the thumbnail. Right. They have and it's just this, essentially it's like a little silver cord.
Okay, yeah.
And there are numerous times, especially in Mystic Skies, where they're like, okay, we got to go north because blah 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 blah, and the ranger that's with him is going, nope, we need to go south. And everybody's like, this is crazy. There's all the soldiers in the south. And he goes, yeah, but that's where we need to go. So that's where we're going. I'm going to go. Bye. And they all go, okay,
he looks like we're going south.
We're going south, I guess. But Amis has that same kind of homing sense where Spear Maiden, Aes Sedai, Country Bumpkin,
all walk into a bar.
Angry redheaded Aiel Shido guy.
Yep.
You can go. You definitely cannot fucking go. And of course that pisses him off even more. But it's like,
well, to be fair, she does say you can go after the amount of time, the appropriate amount of time.
That is true.
That your brother went in. He has 4 more days. Yeah. So as soon as 4 days are up, you can go again if he doesn't come out. But today is not that day. Sit your red-headed dick ass down.
A day may come when you go to Ruinian, but it is not this day.
By the end of this episode, we're just gonna have quoted the entire trilogy.
Just all of fantasy, right, as a compendium here. I like though that she just feels, she knows what's going on. When they come across the spine of the world into Carrion, following Couladin and the Shido, that's when she says, okay, I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is. Egwene, you're my apprentice, and I need you to know what that means. You are my apprentice. And Egwene, as we know, this is one of the points in the story that forge her into one of the strongest characters in the series. I said what I said. At me all you want. I don't care. I'm right.
It's an accurate statement.
But
I don't always like her decisions, but at the very least, she is 100% one of the toughest, strongest,
bar none,
most just iron-born fucking people in this series.
She is no one to be trifled with.
Yeah.
Who are you? No one to be trifled with.
I must know.
Get used to disappointment. But Amis is the blacksmith, if you will, swinging the hammer at the raw piece of iron that is Egwene. One of
the broken piece of iron. Because she's just been with the Shan-Chan for a while.
That's true. That's true. And that's another really great point. Not only did Amis build Egwene up to be one of the strongest characters, she wasn't starting at 0. Like even if Egwene, Egwene, you're a newborn baby. You're at 0. You grow up a little bit. You're in the book. She's what, 15, 16 when they leave?
16-ish.
You're not starting from 0. You've grown. You've learned a couple of things. Now, you're not, overpowered by any means.
No.
But when she goes back to when she gets captured by the Shan-Chan, not only does she go to 0, she goes below 0. Like, they do a great job of. It's below 0. It's below
her mentality goes below 0. Her power level actually goes up pretty strong. But
I'm talking emotionally
overall.
I'm talking emotionally at this point.
She gets broken down.
They break her down, and they do a great job. And to the point where her and a number of other people, when they're rescued, they're crying. They almost don't believe it.
Yes.
Because they've been broken down so well.
And a sadness and an elation.
Yes.
All at the same time. And it's rough.
It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. But Amis sees this woman she recognizes the trauma. She recognizes the issues there, the package deal, if you will. And not only does she still take her on as an apprentice, but she helps her heal.
Yep.
Helps her understand her pain, and helps her understand her, not necessarily her purpose, but how to find that purpose.
Well, and one of the things I love about the way that she does it, along with a number of the other wise ones that she's learning under, is this idea of, okay, what was one of the biggest problems that you had when you were with the Shan-Chan? And to a lesser extent, the Aztec. You were told to do things that you did not want to do. And that you could not say no to. You physically, I mean, you could physically do it, but then they would beat you. Like, they made it so that you couldn't say no. So, here we are. We're telling you things that you can and can't do. It's not like we've changed that part of it. But 2 things. Number 1, please be aware that we always have your best interest at heart. And almost every time that we tell you that you cannot do something, it is not because we're telling you that you're too stupid to do it. It's not because we're telling you you're too weak to do it. It's not because we're telling you you shouldn't be allowed to do those things because you're a demane. It's out of an abundance of protecting you. And you might get in trouble in some ways for saying no. Like, we might have you go move rocks for an evening if you say no. But you can physically say no. You can tell us no. And at any time, if you look at us and say, Amis, I cannot and will not do this anymore, we go,
okay, we're done.
That's fine. We're done. Now, granted, there is like the little bit of not manipulative, but like not great stuff on the edge of that is, if you ever say that, we're done forever. You don't ever get to come back. But anyway.
It's interesting to note
because there's so much more agency.
Well, and even in that moment, they straight up say, I mean, they still hold her accountable for her actions.
Yes.
And I'm going to say something controversial. I feel like a lot of times when people are dealing with people who have suffered a trauma, they feel the need to excuse accountability.
We're being completely honest. We actually often do it with Rand.
We do it a lot. We say no.
I mean, we do it with a lot of people, not just Rand. But yeah.
But in our lives, we meet someone who, I had some trauma. I'm really sorry. No, don't worry about it. That's fine.
Yeah.
And it's like,
yes,
it's a tender situation. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you should be like,
yeah, of course.
But Amis does something really powerful, which is holding Egwene accountable despite those traumatic scars.
Yep.
And that's what gives you one of these incredibly beautiful stories these beautiful examples of growth is that, growth doesn't come with lack of accountability. Growth doesn't come without discomfort, without effort, without, and don't get me wrong too, I'm not trying to give all the credit to the teacher here. Obviously the student is a shining example of what determination can get you.
Yes.
Because you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink.
And if they just stand there and fucking guzzle the water like Egwene does.
And then, well, they got the problem with Egwene where
they're like, stop it, stop, you're gonna drown yourself.
You will literally drown yourself.
Yeah. Well, and that's actually one of the things that I'm gonna say something controversial as well for a moment. And this is actually one of the things that's true is most strong people come from having trauma in their life, whether it be major or minor.
Sure.
But again, it's a question of how do you deal with that and how do you approach that? Because a lot of people who like to play victim are actually not the strong people.
Right.
A lot of people who like to stand there and say, but bad things happen to me. I don't want to be held accountable. Like, again, I'm not saying that there aren't good people out there who do a certain amount of that and who do it situationally because they just don't have the spoons for it.
Right.
Like, that's fine.
Right.
But it's definitely the people who look at the situation and go, you're right. I have been through something, but I should not be allowed to get around the society.
Yes.
Because of the things that I've been through. I should not be allowed to get around the rules. I should not be allowed to lose that accountability.
Right.
Just because of the bad things that have happened in my past. Those are part of what made me who I am.
Right.
And those are what make a lot of people who they are hold me accountable.
Right.
Those are the people who really end up being particularly strong human beings.
Right.
Rather than the people who fall back on that as much as possible and go, oh, but the bad things though, can't you just give me a bunch of leeway because the bad things though.
Yeah.
And I think again, that's one of the reasons that it's kind of different in terms of we do actually at certain points in the story give Egwene a lot of leeway for the trauma that she's endured. And I think that Rand, we give a lot of leeway for the trauma that he's endured. And, people like Nynaeve and people like Avienda and people like Matt.
I think.
But at the same time, I feel like most of those characters that we think are the strongest are the people who by the end are standing there going, oh no, do you even realize how much I'm holding me accountable for the things that I've done, even through the trauma?
And the difference.
And we go,
yeah, exactly.
You're right.
The difference is too, it's like you should absolutely give leeway to someone who's been through something traumatic. Like, however, there's a fine line between saying, look, I understand this behavior is due to a trauma that has happened to you.
Yeah.
It's sad. It sucks. I'm sorry. However,
yep,
that's not acceptable behavior.
Yep.
And you need to see someone to work through it.
Right.
Or you need to figure it out yourself. Whatever you need to do to help.
I'm not trying to tell you what the answer is, but I'm saying you need one.
whatever you need to do to correct that bad behavior, you need to do it because that is bad behavior. Yes, you've suffered a trauma, and I'm sorry. That is terrible. It is horrible, but that does not give you an excuse to behave poorly to other people who had absolutely nothing to do with that trauma.
Yes.
And
who are suffering through traumas of their own, and how many, the blah blah blah, and it just becomes a whole snowball of.
And how many times do we see in the Wheel of Time, especially where people go through a trauma and then they take it out on other people? I mean, Couladin is one such person. It's a great example.
Congratulations for creating more trauma for everyone else.
He's sad about losing his brother, which, let's be honest, the reason he wants to break tradition is he wants to go in and make sure his brother's okay. Like, they already think after day 2 of Muradin being in there, they already think he's not coming back. And Couladin doesn't want to go in there before the time is up because he is ambitious. I mean, he is. He wants to go in there to try and help his brother, which is strictly against the rules, which is why they say, nope.
I would probably say it's up there, but I think I would actually say that one of the things that he's standing there doing is being really obnoxious about tradition. Because of course he's standing there saying, wait, you're making me wait for tradition. So I can't go in there and check on my brother, which is exactly what I want to do. But these two fucking wetlanders,
they're not even supposed to be allowed.
Go on into Ruidian. And I feel like that is actually a big part of what makes Coolidge is the perceived hypocrisy. And of course, we as the audience know that this needs to happen. We know that Rand is the Dragon Reborn.
Right.
And that we know that Matt, for some reason, needs to be there with him. And we know that Moraine is being sent in there for God knows what reason. But like, we figure it out later. But again, we as the audience know that, but Couladin doesn't.
But Rand comes back and says, "Yeah, I'm sorry, man. Myrnin's dead."
Yes,
and then Couladin, instead of going, "My brother's dead.
Yeah,
I will mourn my brother. I'll wait for the allotted time. I'll go in. I'll leave my." Instead, he's like,
"No, someone gives him an easy answer."
Oh hell,
yeah.
And who was it?
Yeah, Asmodean. Yeah,
guys, beware the person who will give you everything you want and tell you everything you ever want to hear. Beware that person. They are not your friend.
What? Yeah, no, it's horrible.
I'll
easy
never
way
forget.
out is almost never actually the easy.
I'll never forget when I moved in with my dad as a young lad, and my dad sat down and, "I love you, and I want you to know I will be the friend who tells you the things you need to hear, not the things you want to hear."
Sure.
And at first I was like, "Okay, Dad, whatever."
Right.
But after a number of very hard conversations, I understood what he meant by that. And something I think about to this day is when I'm talking to someone and they're like, "Oh yeah, yeah, that's great." I'm like, "What do you want from me?"
Yeah.
Something's not right here. Like Dad, guys, I'm an asshole.
No, you're.
I mean, guys, this has been the last episode of.
He's really not.
But
he's got his moments, but don't we all?
But the point being, is when you get in there and someone's just like, "Oh yeah, everything you do is perfect and amazing." It's like, calm down.
Yeah,
something's not right.
Hold up.
It might just be that person really is just really, really into you, and that's cool.
It is.
Just be careful with that, though.
Yes. Well, and it's also, I mean, I also appreciate that, like, my dad never sort of sat down and had that talk with me, but definitely you felt it in like his constructive criticisms of the things that we were passionate about.
Right.
Again, it was very much the same thing of, if my dad ever comes to me after a show and says, "Daniel, that was amazing.
Right.
You did such a good job. And I think that was the best performance I've ever seen from you." I know that's real. I know that that's a thing that's true because, of course, so many times through my life, he's come to me and been like, "All right, so that was fine. But here's what you need to do to make it better."
Yes.
And so he wasn't always my biggest cheerleader, rah, you can do nothing wrong. It was always when I actually get notes from my dad, I know they're real. And when he tells me that I've done something really good, that means I've done something really good.
I had when I was active duty, the first shop chief I ever had was terrifying.
Yeah.
Like the man knew how to rip you apart.
Okay.
Like, he just was. He straight up said, like, first day he sat you down, he said, "Hey, welcome to the shop. Everything's great. Don't worry about it. We're going to have a lot of great fun times. I just want you to know, if you mess up, I'm going to let you know.
Yep.
Don't wear your heart on your sleeve. Don't take it personally.
Yep.
I'm not going to hold it against you for the rest of your life. I'm going to let you know
And I'm not going to be a huge asshole about it, but I am going to tell you what the fuck you did wrong.
He might actually be an asshole about
okay.
it. But the thing was, is the next day you would come in and get back to work.
Sure.
And as long as you're not making the same mistakes again, that was it. That was the end of it.
Nice.
That was over. One of the best men I've ever worked for. Because, once again, you knew where you stood.
Yep.
If you messed up, he told you. If you did a good job, he told you. And you knew you did a good job because you know he'll be honest with you. And that, I think that's so rare, and I think it's so precious.
I agree.
And you've got Amis in the story, and I would be willing to bet, especially in the echoes of Origins of the Wheel of Time, where we talk about Robert Jordan's military career, and Robert Jordan's very successful civilian career as well, working for the government. He's had bad bosses.
Oh, absolutely.
He's had good bosses, and I have to believe that Amis is loosely based. This isn't mentioned in Origins, by the way. This is me. I have to believe that he's looking at the situation going, I had a good leader when I was stationed at blah, blah, blah. And this is what good leadership looks like. And this is what I'm going to write into my Wise One characters. Or he could point back to a specific manager, a specific leader, or he just said, this is what good leadership looks like because I've seen it in the field. I've seen how this unit had good leadership and they went into the jungle and they came back and they were beaten up, but they survived. This unit had bad leadership and they went into the jungle and never to be seen again.
Yep.
And Amis is one of those who understands the weight in some of her decisions as a leader, as a Wise One, and has honed a very effective brand of leadership.
Yes.
To not only lead her people well and wisely, but to bring out the best in them. And to take broken Egwene and bring out the best in her. And really get her elevated to the point where she has something special about her.
Well, and I love that you just brought up the sort of war thing as well, because of course the next thing that she does after Kyrian is Dumai's Wells. And I think that is another great showing for Amis in particular, because she is with a group of Wise Ones and they are making lots of decisions for what they should be doing.
Right.
And they figure out that something's wrong and they follow the Red Sisters that have range.
Yes.
And they arrive at Dumai's Wells basically as the battle is starting.
Right, because they're with Perrin and the two rivers militia.
Yep. And she recognizes Perrin's ability to go ahead and find Rand almost immediately.
Yes.
And then,
because again, wisdom and insight in spades.
Yep. And she goes, we're going with this man and we're going to go to this battlefield. But unlike Savannah, she absolutely says traditions are there to be upheld. There is a reason that we made these rules for Wise Ones.
Right.
There is a reason that we made these rules for channelers. We are not participating in the battle. We will heal people.
Yep.
We will hold certain things.
Yes.
We will make sure that everything is as good as we can make it, but we are not participating in this battle.
Not at all.
And in the end, again, that is a thing that really ends up being a boon for her, because after the battle, Rand is like,
yep,
they held to their beliefs.
Right.
If I ever didn't trust these women, I do now.
Well,
and they don't need to swear fealty to me. They don't need to do shit.
Well, and
I will seek out their counsel. I will appreciate them. And all of these other Aes Sedai who took me hostage, guess where they're going? to these other people who I think are actually really good caretakers
right?
of them. And they're going to be mean, but they're going to be fair because these people really fucked up.
Well, and what we just spoke about in that situation is perfect opportunity for Rand to play the victim.
Oh, 100%.
Where the hell were you?
Yeah, no,
you
100%.
could have helped me. You could have helped me.
And why are there only one set of footprints? We were carrying your ass,
because my back hurts right now, asshole. But he had the perfect opportunity to say, woe is me, woe is me. And to some extent he did. But the wise ones holding true to their oaths, holding true to their traditions, holding true to that having that integrity to hold true to those things impressed him.
Yep.
As it should us all. Because look, I know I've mentioned it a lot because it's a very powerful subject for me. The corruption of Hadleyburg.
Oh yeah.
Untested integrity is not integrity.
It's not integrity.
It's
I mean, it is, because if you've never had it tested, that's not your fault. But at the same time, again, untested integrity is mostly meaningless.
Or how about this? How about this meme? Who wants a knight in shining armor? If your armor is shining, that means your metal's not been tested. You've not been in a battle. What are you doing? You're riding around and you look shiny. You look pretty. Good job.
I would go ahead and make a reference to Sir Kristen Cole, but fuck that guy. He's the worst.
But the idea being, Rand looked at them and went, I recognize that was a hard decision to make.
Yeah.
Especially with the intensity with which you guys have surrounded yourselves, given me your support.
Yeah.
I know how much you probably wanted to jump in and channel and take care of business. And Amis showed the wisdom of her station, showed the wisdom of her status in the society, showed us, the reader, because when we come into Amis, she's already a bad bitch. Like,
oh yeah,
she's up the top. She's top tier. She's S tier awesome. She's S tier baddie. And we just accept that as readers because that's what we're told to accept.
Basically.
But the really great thing about the story is that we see examples of her being a supremely amazing and wise leader full of integrity who's amazing. And this is one of those places. Dumais Wells is such a fulcrum in the story for so many reasons. Yeah, we like a certain piece of that story.
Of course.
But there's a lot more going on there than just Ashaman killed.
Oh, 100%.
There's a lot more going on there than just kneel or be knelt.
Oh, 100%.
And
honestly, those 2 points, the handful of points that we appreciate the most would be less meaningful if there wasn't so much going on. The reason that Dumais Wells lives on in infamy forever.
Infamy?
Infamy.
The reason it lives on for me.
Yeah, there we go. The reason it lives on for me is
for me.
There's really, again, half of Dumais Wells is shit, and half of Dumais Wells is great. And again, it's the parsing out which parts are which and who's doing what, and getting excited about the good and getting frustrated about the bad, and really seeing all of these characters come into their own in either a way that is hard to read or makes you want to cry or makes you want to laugh or whatever, is why those moments of Ashaman kill and of Perrin lost himself in the battle and of Loyal starts cutting people down because his best friend is in trouble. Like, all of these moments are just that much more special because of what's happening around. Speaking of, I also really appreciate the fact that again, a lot of these characters get those moments where they're people of integrity. They're out on the battlefield. They're doing things. You know, in this case, Amis is not throwing around fireballs because that's not who she is and that's not what she's doing. But at the same time, we have Dumais Wells. We have Rand getting hurt by the dagger from Padan Fane when he goes out to talk to the faction of nobles from Carrion who are sort of offset, which doesn't have Amis in it, but it's still sort of she shows up at some point and is there, even though she doesn't do anything.
I think she's there when he's healed.
Yes.
When that well, not healed, as much as it
healed
can
as much
be.
as it can be. But then almost immediately after, she is there as the main point of bringing them together between Aviendha and Elaine when they become first sisters.
Right.
She's there at the bonding ceremony. She's actually the mother who rebirthed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which
is a weird ceremony, but yeah.
I'm sorry. I know there are people who read it and go, "It's so beautiful." It's weird.
There are weird parts of it, but I think overall it's pretty fucking beautiful.
It's
I'm definitely it's pretty
your team beautiful.
But again, there are definitely parts where I'm like, this is actually really amazing. This is super cool, and it's definitely a situation of like, this is what best friends do to a certain extent. Of again that like, when you actually get to the point of being such good friends with someone that you're like, hey, you really fucked me over on that thing, and I actually still hold it, but I'm not going to anymore because now I've told you about it, and now you know me, and now you know us, and I can forgive you for it.
Right.
And those moments where you're like, dude or lady, whatever, depending on it, because men and women can be best friends too.
Right.
But like, best friend, this is the most amazing thing about you.
Yeah.
This is the thing that I admire the most about who you are. Like, those are the moments where you really get into actually being friends with someone. And like, again, you can say that when you're drunk to whoever, but it doesn't mean shit until you like fucking mean it. And so all of those things about that ceremony I thought were dope. And then like the whole like, we're being burned again. I was like, I'm out.
I was about to say, what other kinds of things did they have to say though? They said you had to say one good thing and you had to say one truthful bad thing.
Yep.
One thing I do not like about you, or one thing that I think is shameful, or one thing that and it's like,
and I love, my favorite part is that like Aviendha, you're seeing it through Aviendha's eyes, and Elaine says something to Aviendha, and Aviendha's like, I was gonna pull my punch, and then you said that, and now I'm gonna say the actual thing that makes me the
actual thing, and then they like actually full on slap the shit out of each other.
It's so
and then mom steps in, and mom's like, girls, it's time to be born now.
Yeah,
that's when it goes from that's when it goes from like super cool to like,
and then
okay. But
anyway,
Amis is the one who oversees that. So again,
and she's the fulcrum between them, if you will. And so again, I feel like Amis is really at some of like the most intense gathering points of the story.
Sure.
Of where people really become who they're going to be at the end of their arc, or like near the end of their arc. She's there for Egwene. She's there for Elaine and Aviendha. She's there when Rand comes out of the box. She's there for a lot of the training of the sisters who took Rand. She's there for so much of what's going on. And part of that, I'm sure, is her dreaming.
Right.
And knowing to be in some of the right places at the right time. But a lot of it, I think, is just her being her, and her just being dope, and knowing that big things are going to happen, and being like, someone of integrity needs to be there. and I am someone of integrity, I will be there.
And this is actually really kind of a powerful statement, because there are, to me, there is power in saying, classic Popeye, I am what I am, and that's all that I am. There's power in that, because understanding that, hey, I am not everybody's cup of tea. Everyone's not going to like this flavor. I get that. That's okay. I don't have to be everyone's cup of tea or glass of wine.
No, sorry, there's this hilarious post. It's like, I'm not everyone's cup of tea. Hell, I don't even like tea. I don't even think I'm put together.
Got my own cup of tea.
No, I don't even think I'm as put together as tea. I'm not everyone's like mossy bucket of bog water.
Hey, if you're a mossy bucket of bog water, be the best goddamn mossy bucket of bog water that ever existed.
Exactly. And guess what? It's probably not going to be as much as tea, and I get that. But some people just like bog water, and that's great.
People are, there's someone for everyone out there.
I've met bog water, and sometimes it's nice.
No, but Amis is one of these people that's, you kind of hit the nail on the head when you said, she says, a person of integrity is needed. I am a person of integrity. That's not bragging. It's not arrogant. No. It's not her being like, I need to be a part of this.
Yes. No.
That's her saying, this is what this situation needs. And there are numerous times where she said, this is what the situation needs. I don't need to be a part of it. You guys go do your thing.
Yeah.
And then there are times where she's like, this is important. I need to be there.
Yep.
And she meets with Cad Swain a number of times. She has the respect of Cad Swain.
Yep.
Which
is also, that's such a weird relationship.
Oh God.
Because I feel like they're both saying the right things, but they're coming at it from such different angles. Because they're like, we need to make him laugh and make him cry again. We need to make him feel. We need to remind him that he's a human being. And then Amis is sitting there being like, that's wonderful. The Karakarn should be a human being, and he should absolutely be someone who can be relied on to think about his humanity.
Yes.
Along it. And Cad Swain is like, I need to remind him that he's mortal, because fuck him. And you're like, what?
Well, and that's the thing, is because we even get a lot of this about, because Rand is at this point in time is doing his whole, do I need to be hard,
to be so hard
or strong? Do I need to be hard or strong? Is hardness and strong? I need to be Quendia. I need to be I gotta go deep. It's just like, oh my God, dude. And Cad Swain very rightly recognizes this sort of trauma, downward spiral, and recognizes we've got to stop this. It's not good. He's gonna kill us all.
Yep.
And they use the examples of he needs to laugh again, and Min even tells him she's gonna teach you to laugh, and he's like, that's not funny. She's like, it wasn't a joke. Like, but I love when they bring these words to Amis. Amis is like, okay, yeah, we laugh through the pain. Like, that is a concept, and it's a concept that Egwene struggles with for a very long time.
It is.
After and when Egwene finally gets to that point where she finally understands,
it's not.
I believe she's in. I only laugh instead of weeping, and there's a whole situation with it, and when she learns that, that's the day she becomes untouchable.
Yes,
that's the day that Sylviana goes to prison.
Yeah.
Because Sylviana's like, I will not break a bright, talented young girl for your ego.
Yep.
I mean, I don't think she says for your ego. But
and of course,
that's what she's saying.
The irony there is, of course, Egwene's like, oh, I just got to the point of literally no one can break me, so give it your best shot. You might as well not go to prison. Like, but yeah, no, exactly, 100%.
Come on.
But again, that's another moment where this is not about Sylviana, but again, that's a moment where someone of integrity looks at someone else and goes, this is wrong.
Look, I know what the situation is. This is wrong.
Yep. And I would rather put my integrity to the test
Yes.
than put their integrity to the test,
And
because I can already recognize it and I don't need it tested. I just need to tell you what's what. And if that sends me to prison, then that sends me to prison.
Well, and I really love this particular instance, because you've got Egwene. She becomes untouchable, and she rises up. She starts interviewing with all the different Aes Sedai. She wins all their respect. She's lawfully voted to the Amarillan seat after the Battle of the Shanshan. All these things happen. Everything's great, and then she gets to meet with Amis again.
Yep.
Only this time as the Amarillan seat, and she's straight up. And she's a little nervous. She's like, "Oh my god, this is my mentor. This is someone who taught me."
Oh my god.
And she realizes the best way to handle this is to go into that meeting in strength, understanding who I am, exuding that to the room. And if I do that sincerely and genuinely, Amis will respect that.
Well, and again, it's also a situation where she recognizes that Amis is a good mentor.
Yes.
That she is a mentor who is going to stand there and say, I'm not worried about my pupil taking over my power.
Right.
I'm not worried about losing power to a pupil or admitting, blah, blah, blah. It's the whole point of me mentoring you was to get to this point. And now you're showing me that you're this point.
I will celebrate your success.
I am here to be proud of you, not to tear you back down and make you a pupil again. And Egwene recognized that. She sees that, and she knows that Amis is someone of integrity who is going to want to see her succeed. And when she does, Amis is standing there being like, you a bad bitch. And I'm excited about you.
And so true to character. She doesn't be like, yeah, look what I did.
Yeah, no.
She goes, look who you
look what you did.
Look what you did. You're amazing. And she's there to celebrate success. And it's like, what was it? Again, another meme that goes around. It's like, funny me, but I like to celebrate my friends when they succeed, not tear them down.
Yeah.
I like to see them happy. I like to make, and I like to support that in them, and not.
Am I the asshole?
Right?
I like to see my friends succeed.
And so I think that's really a beautiful moment. It's sort of a circular kind of moment for Egwene, because she first met them. She was, she didn't even know how to rate herself on the scale because of how sort of ignorant she was of the world, and ignorant of she was of the abilities that she has. But one of the beautiful things about Egwene's character is she never forgot where she came from.
True.
She never forgets who she is.
Yep.
And a lot of people will say, oh, because she put on airs and she's got a chip in her shoulder and blah. And I'm like, no.
There are points where she pretends, but in the end.
But she pays for that.
Yes.
And every single time she comes back and says, this was wrong of me.
Yes.
She recognizes, so that by the end of the story, when you start getting into book 9, 8, 9, 10, where she's in Saladar and she has to start leading, she understands that she's no longer in a place.
This is not about you.
She understands she's no longer in an environment. We're back in the Two Rivers. She can no longer fake it till she makes it. She must absolutely
make it
perform.
Yeah.
She must absolutely be the person who can be depended on. She must be the person who people look to for strength.
Yep.
And that's a very, very, very difficult emotional development for a lot of people.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people who cannot, and this isn't saying anything that there's like any deficiency with them.
Sure.
But there are people who just for how hard they try in life aren't comfortable leading people.
Oh yeah.
And there are people who aren't comfortable being led. I mean, now it's not necessarily a good thing. You need to be able to be led. You need to be able to lead. Like you
Yeah.
need to exercise these skills.
There are moments where different things are needed, and if you are incapable of providing that at the time, that is not something that is horrible and you're a terrible human being for it by any stretch of the imagination, but it does mean that you are unfortunately not doing what the situation needs.
And the problem comes, and I think Egwene recognized this, and I will say that it is very much due to her mentorship under Amis, is that when you're insincere in those endeavors, when you say, "Oh yeah, I can lead,"
Oh, you make so many.
Come with problems. Me, 20 soldiers. Let's go into the jungle. I've got this. I'm good. You just led 20 people to their death. Like, if you can't put up, you need to shut up.
Yes.
and that's also difficult to look at yourself critically and say, this is something I'm not skilled at. I need someone else to help me with this. I need someone else to step in and maybe do this for me.
Yep. So there is one other thing that I want to mention about this particular thing, which I actually really appreciate.
You do that, I'm going to get another beer.
Egwene,
try to not knock down the camera.
Yes. Is that Egwene, when she meets the wise ones, she is she accepted yet? No, she's a novice. Yeah, she's a novice. She has not passed her acceptance test. She is not even remotely close in a lot of ways to being an Aes Sedai. And she lies to them about being an Aes Sedai, and gets away with it for a long time. And then near the end of the time that she is with them, admits that she had lied to them the entire time, takes her punishment for it, and moves on. Then she does see them a little bit because they are still passing messages and whatnot between the Westlands and the Wise Ones and different things like that. The Saladar Aes Sedai are definitely intimately involved in a lot of ways with, Rand's traveling companions, which includes the Wise Ones.
Right.
But she doesn't see them for a long time.
Right. No, there are meetings, there are messages, I'm doing this, you need to do this,
and she elevates herself to the level of Aes Sedai without going through the tests yet, which she actually never goes through tests at all. But she goes through plenty of tests. I'm not saying that she hasn't earned her Aes Sedai status. She just never went through the Aes Sedai test. But yeah, so she elevates herself to Aes Sedai now, and it's still a little bit of a lie.
Right.
But she needs to be Aes Sedai to be Amyrlin. So she does that. Then she goes to the tower, gets knocked back down. Actually, I think she is accepted by the time she actually I take that back.
She is accepted, because they send her from the tower to hunt down dark friends.
That's right.
As she's accepted.
You're right.
Yes.
Sorry. Yes.
When she goes back to the White Tower, that's when they knock her.
They knock her all the way back down to novice, and blah blah blah, and then she goes through the Battle of Tar-Valon.
Right.
She goes through all of this stuff. She, as you said, she gets the respect of the sitters. She gets lawfully elected to the Amyrlin seat. And the next time that Amis sees her, the next time that she actually physically meets with the Wise Ones, not only is she actually Aes Sedai, she is the most Aes Sedai an Aes Sedai can possibly get. And so again, it's one of those like vindicating moments almost in a way that, again, Amis doesn't go to her and say, hey, nice job becoming the most Aes Sedai ever. And Egwene doesn't go to them and say, see, I really basically was Aes Sedai.
Well,
and you know what? Nobody says anything about it. Nobody needs to.
Right.
But of course, Egwene is standing there being like, I took my punishment for lying to you, and that was the right thing to do.
Right.
Now look where I've gotten. And Amis stands there going, you took your punishment for the lie that you told us. Now look at where you are.
Well, and this is especially powerful to consider two things. One, when she does admit and she says, look, I'm not, I lied to you, and the Aiel hate lying more than anything. And by the time she's done months, right? By the time she's done meeting her toe, I believe it was Amis who says, get up anymore, and I'll think you're bragging.
Yeah, she's the first one.
Anymore, and I think you're bragging. Now stop. You're done. You have no toe. You're good. Go on. Do your thing.
Your G has outweighed your toe, girl.
Now stop before I think you're bragging.
Right?
Go. Exactly. And then as you said, they meet again, and this time she's Aes Sedai, and they don't question it.
Oh yeah,
because it's horribly shameful to go,
are you lying?
We talked about this. Because that's exactly what Matt does. Matt's like, oh, like going, no. You're no. You can't, no. You can't play like this. You get out from behind that desk, you put that stool. And that would be incredibly shameful for someone to do that to an Aiel.
Oh, without a doubt.
And what's the final test of becoming a wise one? Amis, Bear, all the other ones.
Deciding that you're a wise one.
Deciding that you're done putting up with other people's bullshit.
Yep.
They're like, hey, Amanda, you
and also going through the crystal columns. But yeah,
right. But you have to be done putting up with other people's bullshit before you can go back for your second trip.
Yep.
And so when you have echoes of traditions, right? You've got echoes of traditions in both places. And when Egwene comes forward and says, I am Egwene, Alvir, Aes Sedai, Amarillin of the White Tower, blah, 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 blah. And Amis goes, like, that was it.
Yep.
Yeah. Because she's like, oh, you guys have that too. Cool. Like, you got two tests you have to take. And essentially, before you go to take your Aes Sedai test, you have to be willing to say, I am ready to face the trials, master. but that is a key element. You must be ready to declare yourself. Uh-oh.
I was just thinking, how many wise ones do you think have gotten a little too big for their britches as apprentices and been like, I'm ready to face the trials, and then they go, we give you a seat on this council, but we do not give you
we do not grant you the rank of wise one. Have a seat, Savannah. Well, they even say that Savannah was like, after a week she was done with this BS.
Oh yeah.
And they were almost like, is this arrogance or is this passing the test?
And the answer is
let's call it she passed the test and let her go.
Even though we know it was arrogance.
we know as the readers it was totally arrogance. It was ambition, it was arrogance, and it was I'm bigger than you. I will not be bullied by some dull beast. And then Battle of Malden.
Right.
Puny wise one. Perrin just
indeed.
Oh, that was good. And then Amis has importance with. So Avienda goes through the crystal columns the second time.
Yep. The first
time, yes.
Yeah. But it's for her second test. She goes back to Ruidian.
Second test
goes to the crystal
columns for the first time. Yep. And she's specifically told, like explicitly, you go through once, you come the fuck back.
Yep.
And at this point in time, Avienda's learned that she can understand the nature of a ter'angreal,
Yep.
or at least what it does by touching it. She can touch the ter'angreal and get an idea of how it works,
basically,
or what it's supposed to do, what its function is.
Yep.
And as she goes through, she sees all her visions.
Drinking and knowing things. All right, cool.
Drinking and she comes out of the crystal columns and she's like, wow, that was a trip. And she's sitting there and she's meditating and she's pondering and she's soaking it all in. And she goes, gosh, I wonder if I can figure out what these things are, because we know so little about them. Touches one just to try and understand and gets sucked back in again.
Yep.
Then sees the future, horrific visions of the future, runs back to the wise ones, and Amis is there. And I don't know. I'm not remembering the particulars of the story. She sends someone else back. Amis says, I think it's Bear. She sends back to the crystal columns. Okay, we need someone else to go through the crystal columns.
Yeah, to go confirm
to see if this is what actually happens, or if that's like
this
a
was
one-off,
a thing that was
or
like, yeah. And yes, it's Bear.
And so, but Amis,
by
you've got to know that she would want to understand that more intimately.
Oh, of course.
But as we've discussed, like, her strength in leadership, her strength in wisdom and understanding leads her to say, no, I'm needed here.
Yes.
And I can't go running off to find out what's going on with that. We do need someone to go there, and it has to be someone that we trust. She makes a good choice. She sends Bear. And Amis, you've got to know that's got to be a difficult call for her, because it's one of those, okay, what if she's wronged? Okay, what if she's right? Yeah. Neither of those are good scenarios. Yeah. And I'm not sure.
Either we are alone in the universe or we are not. I'm not sure which one of those is scarier.
Right?
Yeah.
And so Bear comes back and confirms.
Yeah.
And says, yep, nope, that's what I saw too.
Well, and especially I also really appreciate that up until this point, Amis has been a stickler for tradition to a certain extent.
Oh, yes.
I'm not saying that she hasn't loosened tradition when it needs to be, but this is almost flagrant throwing it out. Now, she hears Avienda's story, and Avienda is in some ways penitent but insistent and serious about this, and she senses that and goes, I don't think that you did this on purpose. I think that this was a situation where you were just trying to understand, trying to help, and trying to figure out what was going on.
Bring more G,
right? And then this happened, which is very anti-tradition. Now what do we do? This is a situation where if I confirm what you have seen, I have to tell someone else to go break tradition, or I have to go do it myself.
Right.
You know, what do we do in this situation? Because again, I need confirmation.
Right.
But also confirmation flies in the face of fucking so many years of what we've done and blah, blah, blah. And so again, it is that knowing when to not participate in the Battle of Dumais Wells, regardless of the fact that other people are throwing out tradition, regardless of the fact that you could absolutely walk in and tear a new one to whoever is doing the bad thing you want to stop, because you have power. But it is the integrity of, this is not the right time to break tradition. This is the time to uphold it. This is the time to let tradition go. This is the time to make new traditions or find out new information or do new things, because that's what the world needs. And so again, that is the moment, or that is one of the moments where she says, there.
Yep.
I can't go do it myself for whatever reason.
Right. I don't think we get a need.
She doesn't give one.
Yeah.
But I can't do it myself for whatever reason. I'm needed here. But I trust you. Go confirm this. And if it's confirmed, then we have a lot more to think about now. Well, not only just what Avienda told us, but also the implications of what going through twice means. The implications of what these crystal columns can now be used for, the implications of what we've been missing out on for so long because we've only gone through once. All of these different things are all put together in holy fucking shit.
Well, and notice with specifics, there is no time within the story that they start saying, well, maybe we should have the wise ones come back a second time. Correct. They do it twice. Now they've got a good idea of what's going to happen. They don't know if it's real. They don't know if it's not. But what they do decide is that we're going to take measures to ensure that we're going to do the best we can. And ultimately, I think that's what Amis says. She says, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen.
Sure.
Ultimately, there's nothing we can do about that. But we will try to not make it happen.
Yep.
And this actually leads, because again, one of Amis's other apprentices, Avienda, this leads them to discuss, what are we going to do about this?
Yep.
And they decide that they need to be involved in the Dragon's Peace.
Yep.
They need to be involved somehow. They need to be appointed a position of importance.
Yeah.
And one of the...
Because I feel like there's no chance that they ever would have not been in the Dragon's Peace in terms of that they would not
as have, citizens of the world, they would have been.
It does change their intensity by which they feel like they need to be involved. Because again, there is this looming thing. And yeah, it's a lot of
hold on.
I need the strength to change the things I can.
The serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Yep.
And here's what happens. Amis encapsulates this perfectly because she goes, she does the Master Oogway. Well, that is bad news. and they go, okay, cool. We're going to make sure we're going to do everything we can to make sure this doesn't happen. If it happens, there's nothing we can do about that.
Yep.
Accept it now. And let's just do what we can do now. They make the play. Avienda steps forward and says, the Aiel must be a part of the Dragon's Peace.
Yep.
And Rand goes, oh, but I wanted to protect you. And she goes, cute, no. and I want to see this better be the most powerful scene in the TV show. When Avienda stands up and says, the Aiel must be allowed to be in the Dragon's Peace. And Rand says, look, this is why I wanted to avoid this. I didn't want to. And then the rest of the wise ones stand next to her and go, we weren't asking.
Yeah. Which again, I mean, both sides are so relevant there because again, this is Zen Rand. This is Bodhisattva Rand. He is not standing there going, oh, I need to protect all women, and oh, I am so bad for the things that I've done, and he's literally standing there and going,
you've done your piece.
This is the reason that I was going to leave you out. He's not standing there being like, and this is why you should listen to me. I'm going to force this on you, blah, blah, blah. But he is standing there talking to someone he loves.
Yes.
And saying, I don't have the information you do.
Yes.
He doesn't know that.
Right.
But he's standing there going, I don't have the information you do.
You seem
but
adamant.
I have the information I do. Let me explain. And she stands there with the rest of the wise ones and goes,
no.
Appreciated, I'm not telling you you're a wool-headed sheep herder, but at the same time, I apologize. You are wrong.
Yes.
We are not asking.
And
do the thing. And he goes, I will do the thing.
If you want to do that, though, I need assurances from you as well.
Well, sure. Yeah.
And
yeah,
one
yeah.
of the things that they had to promise was not to declare blood feud against the Shanchan.
Yes.
For capturing Aiel channelers.
Yep.
And here's where it gets interesting. Oh God, this is such a good plot point. And I know people get so upset with the ending of the story and the Shanchan being allowed to keep slaves. And guys, we've kicked this horse.
That's what it is. It's real.
It's done. It's over.
Yep.
It sucks. Slavery's bad. We all know this.
Yep.
Nobody.
Disagree with us.
Very few people would disagree with us. Nobody can rationally disagree with that point.
And sorry, no one on this show disagrees with us. And I'm pretty sure none of the people we've had on as guests would disagree with that.
I hope not.
Yeah, exactly.
But one of the distinctions they make when they're talking about this is every step of the way we made the right choice in Giotto.
Yeah,
we did the right thing. They did this. We reacted appropriately, and we got our asses kicked
sometimes.
And Amis has been spending this entire story going, God, tradition's just not working for us. There are things that we must update. We must be flexible.
Yes.
We must we must bend to survive. And this is one of the things that they say. Now, granted, Avienna's been through the columns, Bear's been through the columns, and they recognize blood feud with Shanchan is one of the big mistakes that they make. It is the right call according to Giotto, but in order to preserve their people, they must deviate from what they know would be hypothetically the right decision to make. They must deviate from that. And now they have to say, the Shanchan can keep our sisters. All those who don't want to be released, because that is one of the stipulations. Yes. Any of them who want to be released must be allowed to leave.
Well, and I feel like of all of the ones who would still have the strength of will to make that request, right. would probably be that the lion's share of them would probably be wise ones and
right.
Aiel who could channel. Again, not to say anything bad about anybody else, but the wise ones are absolutely a group that take as little shit from people as possible and have already been broken down.
Right.
So when they try to get broken down for a second time,
and you've even
or a
got
third or a fourth, however many they've been broken down in their life, they probably have the likely highest fortitude to stop that. But again, I mean, there are definitely still some who have been in the clutches of the Shanchan long enough.
Everyone
that
breaks.
It would be,
everyone.
Exactly.
Period. End of story. Period. Everyone breaks. Eventually, you will succumb to torture.
Yep.
Nobody out there is badass enough to withstand it forever.
Correct.
You've got stories of Aes Sedai who caved in a matter of days, and then there was a yellow sister that was captured in the initial invasion,
and
who
still
Nynaeve unclaps her thing, and she fucking clocks a Soldom, and
right?
Like, yeah, get her. So I have to believe that with wise ones it's the same. There are some that are stronger than others.
Yeah.
Yada yada yada.
100%.
Blah blah blah. But Amis recognizes this as an opportunity to change what they think is a choice that led them to destruction in the future.
Well, and of course, one of the things that I think is interesting is this is a moment where it's almost like they don't have to get around Giotto by getting around Giotto, because it's a situation where if in the Dragon's Piece they say, okay, the most G thing in this particular situation is to agree to the terms of the Dragon's Piece.
Right.
And part of that is that we can't do certain things that would normally be allowed in tradition under Giotto.
Right.
Then when we don't do those things later, it's the most G thing of us to abide by those terms that we agreed to. And so it's almost a situation where they're like, we can have our cake and also eat it too.
And they kind of get a little side serving of humble pie.
They do.
Right, immediately.
Yes.
Because they attend the war council and Elaine says, okay, we got, you guys go there, you guys go there, you guys go there. Aiel, since you guys are the best fighters, the fighting will be hottest at Shael Ghul. We're going to send you. You will be under the command of Rodel Ituralde, and you guys will go there. And the Aiel go under the command of a wetlander. Right? We don't know this person. And Elaine went, shut. You wanted to be a part of the dragon's peace. Now you will obey the orders you're given. And I have to admit, I have to believe that in that moment, Amis went, oh damn.
Yeah.
Yes, queen.
Yes. 100%.
Literally at that point. Literally. But I have to believe that there a lot of the wise ones were like, oh shit, okay, cool. Yeah. You know what?
Well, and I also
Brodo.
I also love the idea of like Avienda being there in some ways and seeing like Aiel, Fardar is my wise ones. Elaine.
Right? That's my sister, y'all. That's my sister, y'all.
But also like, girl, I'm so proud of you. Yeah. But also like, I'm so proud of you for standing up for yourselves, but I'm also so proud of you for making them not stand up for themselves because it was the right thing to do.
Girl, I'm so proud of you, but I just shit my comments.
Yes.
They fight the last battle. Everything is awesome.
Everything is awesome. Amis. Well, Amis is actually pretty disappointed when she finds out that Ruark has been compulsed. I mean, and not disappointed in Ruark, but she's definitely like, my fucking heart. Like,
right? and God, it feels that scene is so sad.
It's so bad.
Like, and think about, and we're going to the dark place. Think about Avienda, the choice that is put in front of her.
Oh, yeah.
Knowing that Ruark is the love of her mentor's life, her mentor, whom she has so much respect and love for. And you can look at this in a very, I know the Aiel, there's a lot of bravado in Giotto.
Oh, of course.
I killed him because he brought shame to us and I did a good thing and blah, 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 blah. And there are people who will celebrate that. And they're all, blah, blah, blah. But ultimately, and I think Robert Jordan did a really great job of writing these situations as very human situations. And ultimately, Avienda just ended the life of someone whom she respects. And it's the shittiest way because she had no choice. And you can take some solace and say, well, he was being compulsed. We know that there's no way back. He was already dead. And I helped him wake from the dream. But that doesn't make it easier. That doesn't mean you just go, yeah, cool. Well, I mean, I did the world a favor. You can't do that. And I have to imagine there's a scene where Avienda goes to Amis and tells her, and it's probably one of those gut-wrenching, heartbreaking scenes where you've got two incredibly strong women being incredibly strong women, but still being very human.
Oh yeah.
And still having that very, very human response to a very tragic situation.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, but I honestly, contributions to the last battle are not super specific.
Right.
She is with the wise ones who do things. She is with the Aiel who do things. But Amis is not specifically talked about that much. And I think that that's right.
Well, and this is a background breakdown for a reason. She's not a main. She is a. She's a character who builds up the characters that we follow.
Also true.
Elaine
and so
Avienda, Egwene. Those are the women that she builds up.
Yep.
Even Rand to some extent.
Yeah.
Those are she is a.
Well, and I think
she's a springboard for the main character.
I feel like we don't talk about it very often because she doesn't soften enough, if you will. But I feel like Amis is one of the reasons that Cad Swain didn't break Rand. I feel like she softened her to the point where, I mean, again, her methodology was still not great. 100%. Right. I'm not forgiving her for the ends justifying the means or anything like that. But at the same time, I do feel like it would have been way worse if Amis and a number of the other wise ones had not been there to say,
chill.
Cad Swain, your mentality about this is correct. Your methodology about this is trash.
And what do we know? And what do we know about Cad Swain? First off, her name was based off of, and this is not in the origins, so it's not a spoiler. We got this from other places.
Okay.
But it's from coxswain on a boat.
Yeah.
Which is like a fixed point. Yep. It's almost like an anchor point. And that's what Robert Jordan really wanted to portray her as a woman, immovable in purpose, immovable in her mentality, her perception, which is a really great thing.
And her, as you said, sort of her purpose and her mission.
Right. She is, which is a really great thing.
It is
in many, many aspects. But as we learned, as Amis, where Cad Swain is the oak, Amis is the bamboo.
Yes.
I think that's a really great way to put it, because where Cad Swain is immovable in her purpose, she will break
to her detriment. Yeah,
she will break under the strain.
Yep.
When a hurricane comes, she will break. Yep. She will be uprooted. Amis, when the hurricane came, they bent. Yep. They moved with the wind, and they survived those storms. And so you get two very extreme solutions, not incorrect solutions. There are benefits and merits of both.
There are.
And you get two very different solutions presented to Rand, and he gets to learn from, I mean, essentially the best of the best. And I just said that. I just said Cad Swain was one of the best of the best.
Well, okay, again, to be fair, we don't dislike Cad Swain because she's not good at shit.
Right.
She is some of the best of the best. She's just not necessarily the best for Rand, which is one of the reasons that we're not a huge fan of hers. Because again, a lot of what she's doing is acting with Rand. And so when you're not the best for the person you spend the most time with,
that's true,
and have some of the biggest amount of your influence being put on, that's where it starts to become a problem. Because again, Cad Swain is an impressive lady.
True.
Well, she really is. And anyone who says she's not, you just don't understand.
Did you read these books?
Again, you can dislike someone even if they're the best of the best.
Absolutely.
I think Tom Brady is not a great person.
All those military deployments he's been on.
Well, I'm just saying, like, again, Tom Brady, if you say statistically that he's not like one of the greatest quarterbacks, if not the greatest quarterback to ever play football, I don't know what game you are watching. That being said, I don't like Tom Brady.
Well, and it's like
there's so much more about them than just being good at the activity they do.
You don't have to like someone to recognize their skill or impact in their profession.
Yep. I also didn't really like Kobe Bryant very much. But again, amazing basketball player. That's how I feel about Cad Swain. She is an amazing Aes Sedai who I disagree with fundamentally on a number of things.
And the other thing too is, that's medicine to swallow right there too, because one of the things that Rand needed at that moment
was one of the best Aes Sedai who
was
lived
to be taken down a peg or two.
You're not totally
or
wrong. 5.
And she did a really great job, but I
feel like the thing is, though, one of the reasons that we talk about Cadsuane, and we'll get back to Amis in a sec, is
this is all, it's all linked together. It's all circular,
right? One of the things that I think is true about Cadsuane, and one of the reasons that we don't love her, is that Rand has a whole pegboard.
Yeah.
And over here, he is way lower on
Right.
pegs than he needs.
Right.
Over here, he's way higher on pegs that he needs to be for the last battle. Over here, he's right. Over here, he's close. You know, over here, he's way higher. Over here, he's way lower.
Right.
All over the board, there are all of these different categories where he is either, you know, where he's somewhere
Really,
on the
really
spectrum.
great, or really, really not great,
Yeah.
or somewhere in between.
And I feel like Cadsuane comes in and recognizes, oh, there are a number of places where you really need to be brought down a peg, and a handful of places where you could really use a hand. And then she proceeds in a number of situations to lower him on scales where he's already hurting, in order to lower him on places where he really could use being lower on that particular spectrum. But again, that's where it's really a problem, because if she came in and again, this is not Robert Jordan's writing. I think he does a really good job of describing a very human person.
Why we don't like her.
Exactly.
Like, you don't write characters that we don't like her because
we don't
her
know
character
your
was
characters that are written
so well that we go, oh God, she's terrible. Not a single character in the book have we ever went, this is just a bad character. They don't fit. They're not there. I mean, but
again, they're not
a couple of characters in a book series where there are 3,000 named characters.
That exactly
the ratio is there.
No,
okay?
that's exactly
we're good.
I'm 100% in agreement. But yeah, again, it's not that she is badly written. It's that she's very real. It's just that very real people make very real mistakes. And her mistakes are some of the ones that make me angry.
Very real people have very real perceptions of what needs to happen.
Also true.
So those perceptions will be based entirely on your own personal experiences. And when I come into a room and shit's on fire, my initial reaction is to say, you need to put out that fire right now. Now, I don't know anything about that fire. I don't know anything about what's going on. I don't know anything about the situation. And while a fire is a bit of an extreme example,
sure,
honestly, 99% of the time, you would want to come in and put out a fire. There could be that 1% of the time where, no, we actually need this fire.
Yeah.
Like, you need to not. And in those moments, I need to go, oh, okay, you need the fire. Yeah. I can back off. Cadsuane's like, absolutely not. If you want a fire, then put it over there.
Yeah.
And it just, But
again,
going back to the metaphor of Cadsuane being oak and Amis being bamboo, you have Amis, again, recognize, I think Amis had the same efficiency of perception that Cadsuane did. I think Amis was able to look at Rand and recognize sort of the same things. Now, she has obviously a very different background.
Yes.
And so she came to very different conclusions about how this situation needs to be handled.
Yep.
She was able to apply herself and say, okay, he needs to learn to bend.
Yep.
He needs to learn to be flexible.
He needs to learn how to be strong because that's the right thing. He needs to not learn how to be hard because fuck that shit.
I almost wonder if that's how he comes to that dichotomy of strong or hard.
It's a personal thing.
I understand that, but
I think it's a
you even see his experience with wise ones. They are very hard. You don't fuck with the White Tower. You don't tell them what to do. You don't move them. They move you.
Yes.
Period. And so he
not wise ones.
Aes Sedai. Yes. And then he sees wise ones who are very strong, and they say, because
they stand their ground, but they also listen.
They say, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
oh, you actually have a good solution for that. Cool. Let's do
Yeah.
that. And it's like, oh, this is weird. This is so I almost wonder if his whole, I mean, maybe it didn't start out that way,
Sure.
but maybe as he sees the different, because keep in mind from book 3, he knows he has to unite all these people. And so he's trying to be everything for everyone else.
Mhm.
And I think as these thoughts sort of percolate and coalesce within his psyche, he kind of goes, which one's better?
Mhm.
Because you've got two, you literally have, with the Aes Sedai and the Wise Ones, you literally have an unstoppable force hitting an immovable object.
Mhm.
And the chaos that ensues.
Yep.
And that's what I think, you get such a beautiful moment with Egwene to bridge those two worlds.
Oh yeah.
And to hit to have the foreign exchange program. And
and in the Black Tower, I got chlamydia.
I don't know. I think ultimately Rand learns lessons from both of them.
I do agree with that.
And I think they are lessons that helped him during his time in the last battle.
Yes.
And without both of those lessons, as men foretold, we would not have won the last battle.
As foretold.
As foretold by the prophecy.
Yes.
So as far as Amis goes, and I know this conversation jumped around. I think it's warranted though.
Yeah.
Because Amis is that involved in the story.
Yep.
Which is almost kind of mind-blowing that she's a background character.
Right.
She's a secondary character. She's not a main character by any stretch of, as far, if you want to rank them in POVs, I'm pretty sure she's got a very, very low amount
I don't
of
know
page
if she
time.
actually has any POVs, but yeah.
But the point being, but she's so involved.
Yep.
She's such an important figure that I'm almost surprised, especially after having this conversation, I'm almost surprised that we haven't talked about her sooner, that we haven't done a background on her sooner.
That's fair. Yeah. That was true.
But as far as that goes, okay, so final thoughts on Amis and her sort of impact in the story.
Yeah, I'm gonna sort of jump on to the thing that you said earlier, which I think is very, very appropriate and very accurate, which is that Amis she is a mentor, she is a builder, and almost every character that we love the most, she had a hand in building, in improving. Ooh, in helping out become the person that the world needed them to be when it was time for them to be that. And then again, maybe she had a couple of unfair advantages to some of the other characters as far as being a dreamer and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's what you do with the information. It's what you do with who you are. It's what you do with your integrity, rather than just having extra abilities.
Right.
And so I think that, again, she is one of those people who really bridges the gap between being there when someone needs them to be imposing, being there when somebody needs them to be intimate, being there when somebody needs them to be a shoulder to cry on, being someone who needs to tell somebody, hey, get your shit together.
Right.
All of those different things. She is able to be that, and she does have her share of mistakes, if you will, of talking to somebody and really hurting their feelings or doing this or that. She's not a character who's the deus ex machina, who comes in and fixes all problems all the time always, because that's not a very well written character.
Right.
But she is a person who more often than not, by a pretty wide margin, comes in and is what someone needs them to be, and therefore helps build them into the person that needs to be there when shit goes down.
Right.
And so I've always been a big fan of Amis, but again, it's one of those things where you don't really think of Amis that much, because she's not doing the grandiose acts. She is not the one who
Right.
is pulling the trigger, but she is the one who gets the person prepared to do so.
Yes.
And I think that that is just as, if not more important than the actual person who pulls the trigger, than the person who actually does the act. And so again, I love that she's married to one of my favorite fucking characters in the whole show, or in the whole book series. I look very much forward to seeing who's playing them both in the show.
Are we gonna get Ruark in season 2?
I don't think so, but it's definitely possible.
Comment down below if you think we're gonna get Ruark in season 2.
But yeah, so again, I love that she's the no nonsense, that she's the hey, do what you need to do, but then also there when the pieces all fall apart to be like, hey, this is a no nonsense time. Do what you need to do. And so she's got that strong.
I love that. I love that.
You know, whatever. What do you think?
I love that. So for me, I will say this, as we've discussed, Anise, I don't think it has yet occurred to me until tonight how much impact she had on the story.
Yeah.
How much, and when we've discussed, and you know, like you were saying, like, you know, 6 out of our 10 favorite characters have a direct correlation, a direct mentorship with, and a direct influence from Amis of the Tardine Aiel. Like,
yep.
And so you kind of go, oh, wow, she's a really impressive person. She's a super impressive lady. And with everything that she does, you know, we talk about, you know, very human characters and very human situations. And did she make mistakes? Of course she did. Of course she did. As a matter of fact, I even believe there's like a sweat tent scene where they're talking, where they're like, you know, ribbing each other and talking about, and they're like cackling with laughter and having a great old time because they're still people. They love to laugh. They love to have fun.
It reminds me so much of the scene where Swan is like shooting old memories with Moraine and whatnot. Again, it's that we are our titles and we need to be that, but when we can, we are also people.
You work hard, you play hard.
Yeah,
that's straight up how it is. And one of the things that I would like to reiterate, there are 2 points with regards to Amis that I would like to reiterate that I think everybody should really just bear in mind. 1, you don't get wisdom and temperance and strength and all those kinds of things without making a lot of mistakes.
Oh, true.
Young Amis was not perfect. She did not come out of the womb this beautiful, amazing, strong, wonderful person. She learned by making many, many mistakes along the way, but she learned from those mistakes.
So she may have come out of the second birthing after becoming first sisters
that could
with
be
Leon, you know, perfect.
And the second thing being, you don't always have to be the person doing the amazing thing. You don't have to be the lead singer in every band. You don't have to be the center of attention in every room. You don't have to be the brightest firework in the sky. Sometimes what's equally, and how many times do you go to a concert and they all go, oh yeah, let's give it up for the opening band. Let's give it up for these guys. Let's give it up for the crew, because they do a lot of work to make this happen. And it's true. The roadies that set up and tear down the, and I'm not gonna break Amis down and say she's a roadie by any means.
Sure.
But the work that she does behind the scenes to bolster and build the characters who need to be on the front lines is irreplaceable.
Yep.
And and as we've talked about on the Wheel of Time numerous times, it's not a story about one person.
Nope.
And anytime someone says, oh, it's the story about one person, fuck,
it was
that.
About
you missed the point of that story. It was about an entire nation, an entire world of people figuring out a way to be, and Amis is a linchpin in this lace or pattern of ages. There it is. I worked it in.
You did.
So, all right. So, hey, thank you so much for tuning in with us. Thank you so much for
Absolutely.
being here. Thank you so much for being awesome. Thank you so much for behaving yourselves while receiving this week's lovely,
Thank you to all of
delicious
those of you who
dose of
didn't
taint.
behave as well.
We'll see you for after classes. Bring your
Yeah, we're
saber
looking
neighbor.
at you, Adalorna.
Yeah, right. So no, thanks. Remember, go to blacktarpod.com. Remember to look at that guy right there and look at this guy right here.
They're back.
Make sure you do your duty and subscribe. Not only that, but spread the word of our Lord and Savior, the Dragon Reborn.
Indeed.
Get someone else to read the books.
Right. And if you don't have an extra copy of Eye of the World sitting around just so that you can go ahead and give it to people, fix yourself.
All right. Well, thank you once again. We hope you have enjoyed this episode. We hope that you leave here just a little bit more insane than you were when you first started. And so for all of us from the Black Tower, I have been your Soroban Mahale Josh.
I have been your Amin Khan Mahale Daniel. Definitely hope that you've enjoyed this episode and that you are having a wonderful morning. And in case we don't see you again, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
In the shadows, always watching, always running the show. In the tower, you can bring your pain. In the tower, you can feel the strain. You've been having so much trouble just fitting